Hi, my name is Jaap Berzelius. In this presentation I want to show you how to secure Outlook web app with Threat Management Gateway or TMG 2010. What we want to achieve is that when users on the internet connect to our Exchange environment, they connect to a Threat Management Gateway, they are authenticated on the Threat Management Gateway, the request is forwarded to the client access server, and the message content is retrieved from the mailbox server. The Threat Management Gateway is typically installed in the demilitarized zone. Please note that in this environment, the TMG server is connected with only one connection to the DMZ. So how do we configure this? First, we have to create a web listener on the TMG server. This is the part which listens to the actual 443 port on the network interface. Then we have to create a rule that publishes OWA to the internet. So we go to the Threat Management Gateway management interface. We select Firewall Policy in the left, and in the right we select Toolbox here, and there's an option called Web Listeners. We select Create New Web Listener and say OK, give it a name. We require SSL. We have to select the network interface. We only have one network interface here, which is known as the internal network. We have to select a certificate. I already installed a certificate on this server. We select the certificate, and here we select HTML form authentication. You have to be careful that by default form authentication is enabled on the client access server as well. This will not work, so you have to change the authentication on the client access server from forms based to basic. But here we select form authentication. If needed, we can select a single sign-on. We enter the domain and we click Finish. Now we have created a web listener, and we select Apply to make the changes active. This is the part that listens on port 443, and we have configured our certificate. Next we select the Tasks option, and there's the option Publish Exchange Web Client Access. I select this option to create the actual rule. So I give this a name, OWA, Outlook Web App. In my environment I have an Exchange Server 2007. I publish a single website, and I use SSL to connect to the internal client access server. It is also possible to use HTTP, unsecured, but I use SSL. I give it a name. And I accept for webmail, which is my test domain. Here I have to select the web listener I just created. I can select basic authentication. This is the authentication from the Threat Management Gateway to the client access server. Then I click Finish. Apply the changes. Okay, and if I want, I can check the properties here. It is enabled. Action is allowed from anywhere. Here to come from the TMG computer. Request appear to come from the original client. So the client access server sees the external IP address. Apply. Traffic, my listener, and here I have the path. I can say okay, test rule. All options are green here. I have to apply again. So now I have configured the client access server to accept requests from the internet, authenticated against Active Directory. The request is forwarded to the client access server. You saw that one on 10.0.0.0.205 and using basic authentication there. So now we should be fine. So we open a browser here. Come on. Here, this is the web interface from the TMG server. You can see it here, connected to Microsoft Exchange, secured by Microsoft Forefront Threat Management Gateway. I enter my credentials, and there we are on my Exchange server 2007. This is my actual mailbox. So we have created this scenario. My client connects to the internet to the Threat Management Gateway. You see the forms-based authentication page, the yellow one. I enter my credentials. They are sent to the domain controller, and the credentials are forwarded to the client access server, and my mailbox content is retrieved. So, my name is Jaap Berzelius. In this presentation I showed you how to configure the Threat Management Gateway for use with Outlook Web App. Thanks.